Annyeonghaseyo. Hi, how are you? It's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm here to review the Korean Made Simple workbook number 1 and this Korean writing practice book I got. Okay, let's dive into the workbook. I have never seen this, even the Kindle version, so I'm kind of excited. It is Volume 1, Edition 1, written by Billy Go. There is another editor published by Go Billy. I'm confused as to whether Go is his last name or his first name, because his company name is Go with an exclamation point, Billy Korean. There are audio files available for the workbook as well. Very nice. And it does tell you the cover art design and the cover design, the cover artwork design. The copyright is 2018. This is printed by Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which I kind of realized from the other one when it seemed to have been printed on the day that I ordered it. So these are legit. You would never know that this was Kindle self-publishing. I'm really impressed by these. I had no idea they would be that nice. Again, his chapters, his table of contents is all on one page, but it's completely legible. Do the chapters go with the book 1? Let's see. Do they align? Chapter 1 saying hello. Yep. Let's jump down 10. More adjectives. Yep. Shopping. Yes. Yeah, even chapter 20. It even still has the Appendix C sound change rules. But this one has an about the author section, so it might tell us why Billy ever went to Korea in the first place. So the chapters do all align. Dun, dun, dun. Oh wait, there's introduction to sound change rules in the beginning. Maybe. Nope, that was in the regular book too. Preface. It does say, hello again. It's great to see your devotion to Korean. I'm happy to see that you're trying your best to practice and review the language as much as possible on your journey to learn Korean. As you might know, Korean Made Simple was written to be a standalone book and includes workbook-style questions at the end of each chapter. However, part of the process of studying Korean is getting as much exposure to the language as possible. This includes practicing with native speakers on your own, studying grammar with vocabulary, and reviewing concepts until you feel comfortable with using them. This expanded workbook was designed to assist you with that goal by helping you to become more comfortable with the concepts, grammar, phrases, and vocabulary presented in Korean Made Simple. Throughout this workbook and through Korean Made Simple, your Korean will be able to improve faster than it would by only using one textbook. Of course, the more you can do to expose yourself to Korean and the more practicing and reviewing that you do, the faster you will advance. How to use the workbook. The workbook was made to be used together with Korean Made Simple, a beginner's guide to learning the Korean language. Oh, I took all that time to see if the chapters correspond, and he tells you literally the next sentence. As you work through each chapter in Korean Made Simple, complete the corresponding section in this workbook for additional practice. There is no new grammar or vocabulary introduced in this workbook. You'll only find what is already present in Korean Made Simple. Note that this may also include content from the advanced notes. If you notice a grammar form, vocabulary word, or phrase that you are unfamiliar with, check the corresponding chapter or glossary section in the back of the textbook to locate it, or alternately, you could check in a Korean dictionary. Very nice. While an effort was made to include every vocabulary word from Korean Made Simple in this workbook, some vocabulary may appear in later chapters here than in the textbook. This was done intentionally to create more useful practice prompts and example sentences. It tells you again about the audio files. Some of the practice exercises in this book will use audio files. You can download them, the audio files, to accompany the workbook from his website, which is just gobillykorean.com. Was the introduction to Korean. I'm looking at this right here, and I want to check something. When he introduced the alphabet in here, he told you about the letters and their stroke order, and then how to make syllable blocks, because there's a lot of different ways to make syllable blocks. And so you went through and kind of learned each letter one by one. And gives you different kinds of syllable blocks to make. This one And if it's in that other book, I apologize. I just didn't see it. This one has like little kid practice. It's already in the blocks, kind of shaded in, not written darkly, and you can trace over it. So it has some tracing ones. Can you count how many consonants are in each of the following syllables? So you'll have to know what is a consonant and what is a vowel when you go through. Ooh. And then combine the following letters to form symbols. It looks like a math problem, but you have to know how they go together to form their syllable block. Very nice. The answers in here are directly under the problem. So I think we talked about this before. Somebody complained about it. It's how it appeared in the Kindle. The answer keys weren't separate. Just have a little piece of paper to hold over the answers when you do them. We all did that in elementary school. I mean, here, even this little Chick-fil-A straw I've laying around would cover it up. It's not a long line at all. Oh, it's interesting. Answer keys. The more Korean you learn, the more right answers there will be. Don't be too surprised if your answers are different from what's shown. You may still be right. Compare your answers with the answers given in the workbook, but be open to other possibilities, and he'll explain that more to us. Yeah, this is much more of a worksheet style, like you would have had in school, where this is a textbook with questions in it. Yeah. And I don't know, do public school kids have books like that? Homeschoolers have books like that, where this maybe we don't write the answers in the book. Yeah, you've got that too in public school, where you don't maybe write the answers in the book, or there's a little line for it. I don't like to write in textbooks, but I do tend to write in workbooks. And so this is done more as a worksheet, a consumable worksheet. Yeah. So this is like the original textbook, where multiple people might use the textbook, or you might come back to it over time, so you may not write in it. But the workbook is usually considered consumable, and this is kind of set up that way. Like, complete the table below by filling in the blanks. That's not something you can write in another notebook unless you write out the whole page. So yeah, this is done in a worksheet style. It's not color, it's still black and white. They're numbered with, same Arabic numbers we use. Now the answers are at the bottom of the page, so you can just put something at the bottom, but you see they're numbered the same as we would have them numbered. And it tells you when to listen to an audio track. It's going to be that symbol there, speaker playing with music notes coming out of it, so pretty easy to tell. And this is pretty readable. The answers get a little bit small for me, I won't lie. Just funny, because the questions and the charts and things, they are legitimately, I can read them. The answers do get a little tiny, and I am wearing my reading glasses. I'm a little old, Billy, just saying. The answers can be a little bit challenging to read. Not entirely, but it's sometimes hard to make out some of the more complicated, I want to say the vowels. The vowels are what I have a hard time seeing as they get smaller. How many lines are coming off of another line, kind of thing. There's cute little pictures. So let's jump over. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward then. It's a workbook. It looks exactly like you would expect a kid's workbook to look. I like that. I have been kind of looking, I admit, I went into our local Asian markets and looked, and they had Hangul workbooks for kids, but they were very childlike and very simple. And you'd spend one page just learning how to make one letter, and then you'd repeat it, and it was adorable and fun, and not that I wouldn't gain anything from it, but this one is made for not kids. I do think an older kid could do it. I think by middle school or something, this would be easy for a kid, but it's not written for a tiny little kid who would need more space to practice their letters and all. So this is the Korean writing practice book. It has 120 pages. It does say it's the large 8.5 by 11 size, and it's premium quality. I'll say I found this on Amazon, and they had a number of different covers for this. This one made me happy, so it's the one I got. And it's legitimately exactly what it says, and you can tell from the cover. So it's blocks. It's blocks to help you make your syllable blocks inside them. There's a line at the top, so you could write, like if you're copying something out of the workbook or the textbook, you could write what page you're on or what the name of the lesson is, and then go ahead and write it out. And you can see the reason. Some people are like, why don't you just use grid paper? Sometimes it can be hard to find the grid paper with the larger grids. Normally the blocks are pretty small. Therefore, doing like algebra 2, trigonometry, calculus, that sort of thing. And so the blocks are fairly small. These are big enough that you could write a syllable block in, and it's got a gap in between, so it's going to be easy to read the text. It's not going to be all bunched together, which I don't know that Koreans use this, but it's going to be useful for me because I'm still having trouble delineating everything. And if I wrote them one on top of each other, the syllable blocks, on top of each other might kind of merge together to me a little bit. So I really liked this. It's funny because it says 8.5 by 11. It feels bigger than that. That is what it says. It does feel bigger. Oh, hey, I still have my tape measure here from the other day. Let's go ahead and measure it out. No, it's 8.5. It's exactly 8.5 by 11. Why does it seem so big? It must be some kind of weird illusion with the blocks. Let's see here. Here is the pattern for the Memento Mori shawl. Yeah, it's 8.5 by 11. It just feels bigger than that. I guess it's because the page is so big and airy with the blocks. Oh well, that's all that is. I haven't written in it yet. The cover's also that nice soft texture. It's also funny, this is also apparently one of those Amazon Creates books because it was also printed the day I ordered it. Interesting. Well, lovely. So there we go. Oh, and it's a different kind of cover. This is the kind of the soft velvety cover, and this is the shiny kind of cover, which, hey, so apparently those Amazon Direct books, the publisher chooses what kind of cover it is. Anyway, so that's what I got for this weekend. I thought it'd be fun to set aside a little bit of time on vacation to do some Korean. I can read the lessons like in the car. I don't think I could do the examples, but at least I could learn a little bit and read the cultural notes. I'll probably be working my scarf again. This time I'm doing a blue one. Oh, you can't really see. It's called sapphire, but I'd say it's a rich colonial blue. It's definitely not a navy. It's a little bit different than that. Almost a teal to it. Anyway, so I might be doing that in the car as well, so I can read some Go Billy Korean. I can crochet some. Yeah, I guess that's it for the review. If you have any questions about any of them, the textbook, the workbook, or the practice book that I got, this is the only level I have. I don't have level 2 or anything fancy, or the reading. I think he's got a reading Korean made simple book. These are just the unboxings. Hopefully I can get into them a little bit more and do a full-on review for you. Don't forget to check out Go Billy Korean online. I found him on YouTube. He's got a website as well, but on YouTube you can watch the videos and really get a feel for his style of teaching, and I think that's going to make a big difference for you. I really love his teaching style. Do I watch some of the other videos sometimes? Yes. Some of the other videos have like quizzes and things on them, and there's definitely value there, but for my main focus is going to be him, and the others are supplementary. And if I knew how to say goodbye to you in Korean, I would, but I don't. And so we'll go ahead and say our prayer before the crucifix, because for me, the whole point in learning Korean is that I do have a number of Koreans in my secular Franciscan fraternity, and at a regional gathering, a regional retreat, it came up like, well, why do I always have to learn English? Why can't anyone ever learn Korean, at least just a little bit? Because some of them speak perfect English, and others, it's not their first language. They're not going to be perfect at it, and it would be lovely if somebody else, you know what I mean? It just shows that you care, shows a little bit of interest, and can be easier to communicate in the language that you knew growing up. It's fair enough. It was a fair enough question, like, why don't we ever learn it? So I asked, and they answered, and I kicked myself and tried to start learning Korean. And so the whole point was to grow closer to my brothers and sisters in Francis and Claire. So I'm going to go ahead. Again, the San Damiano cross is over here. You can't see it, but you're going to know it's there. And let's go ahead and pray that prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. All great and glorious God Most High, I ask you to give me right faith, certain hope, perfect knowledge, sense, and charity, Lord, that I may carry out your holy and true will. In Jesus' name, amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Bye, friends.